Welcome back to the Carbon Box Media YouTube channel. Today we are back with Dominic and we will be talking about email segmentation. We're going to talk about why it's important, how to improve it, and just show some examples. Dom, you got anything to say before we jump into it?
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to see you guys again. So I'm ready to rock and roll.
Let's do it, man. Alrighty, take it away, Dom.
Okay, so today I want to talk to you about the importance of segmentation strategy, and why it's important for you to have the right segments, first of all, and at the same time to have the right segmentation criteria. And most importantly, what this does to your email list and your list health is if you're sending to the wrong set of people, if you're sending to lists engaged people, this could impact your deliverability over time, right? And the most important thing in email marketing generally is for you to have good deliverability. Everything that we do is to make sure that we have good enough deliverability. If you have poor sender reputation, all your efforts going to go to waste, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to have a strategy that continuously boosts your sender reputation, at the same time gets you enough engagement to get that revenue. So if you have poor sender reputation, your emails are going to land in spam instead of inbox, and then all of your efforts and your strategy is not going to play out. You might be wondering why you're driven on your strategy, you've nailed your brand voice, and your copy looks wonderful, but you don't really know why you're not getting revenue. It might be because you don't have enough eyes on the emails that you're sending, because emails are landing in spam box over the inbox. So that's one thing that we're going to talk to you about today: how to have the right segmentation strategy, how to be able to keep your open rate above 30 to 45%, so your strategy can play out, and the revenue you're looking to get, you can actually get it out of your email marketing.
Yeah, man, this is great stuff. I know a lot of people struggle with proper segmentations and deliverability.
Yeah.
So why don't you just jump into it, show us an example, and just teach us the ways.
Yeah, that's correct. Definitely most brands struggle with segmentation strategy. And I've seen a lot of brands, when I audit accounts, I see some brands sending to the old list. What they don't know is they're gunning for the highest revenue. What they do not know is they're hurting their email, their list in the long run. And then that is impacting their deliverability negatively. And even though they might get the revenue short term, long term, they're going to get to a point where they wouldn't really get any revenue eventually, because their emails are not really landing where it's supposed to be landing. So let's go in and let me show you, one, the right segmentation strategy. Two, how you can create the most engaged segment that you can use from time to time. And three, how you can easily build up your reputation once it's kind of built up after a while. First things first, let me show you how to build an engaged segment. If you don't know how to do that, the first thing you have to do, and if you use Klaviyo, this is how you would build an engaged segment out of Klaviyo. So you first need to go into audience, locate list and segment, click on it. And depending on what kind of engaged segment you want to build, if it's a 90-day engaged segment, if it's a 30-day engaged segment, if it's an engagement based on whatever criteria, you can just go to the top right corner and click on create. In this particular case, you want to create segment and not a list. So create on segment, click on segment, and just give your segment any name. In this particular case, I want to create a 90-day engaged segment, which simply means people fall under the criteria of, okay, let me do that again. So what 90-day engaged simply means is people who have either opened, clicked, or engaged with any of your channels or any of your marketing in the last 90 days. So in this case, I want to create a 90-day engaged segment. So what I would do here is, in Klaviyo, if you want to create a segment, you have to define the conditions or define the criteria that kind of define, or that kind of explains why somebody would fall into that segment out of your total email list. So in this case, I want to create a segment of people who have opened my email in the last 90 days. So what I would do is, what someone has done or not done is what I would click on. And in this case, if somebody has opened an email, Klaviyo made it quite easier, so you can easily just search what you're looking for. And if you're not sure, you can easily use the Klaviyo AI. Just type in your prompt and it gives it out for you. But since we're quite aware of what you want to do, is much, much easier. So just search for opened email at least once in the last 90 days, right? So for this particular account, about 4,781 people have opened an email in the last 90 days, but that's not all. You're not capturing just open, we're capturing other engagement metrics as well. So open email at least once in the last 90 days. You can add condition. You have two operators when you're adding condition. You can either use or and. If you're using and, you're saying that both conditions must be fulfilled for this segment to be created. If you're using or, you're saying either of those conditions can be fulfilled. Any one of the conditions that they have actually fulfilled, pull those set of people into the segment. So in this case, we are using or because if either they have opened an email or they have clicked an email in the last 90 days would suffice. So or somebody clicked an email in the last 90 days, but you don't really stop there because opening emails and clicking emails is not just the only engagement metrics you want to track. You can also track site activity, right? Because site activity is some form of engagement, and somebody has especially if they have consistently been on your site in the last 90 days, there's a likelihood that they might purchase something, which makes sense for you to dedicate cents to that set of people. So we can also add another condition that says if somebody has been active on site at least once in the last 90 days, you can then dedicate cent to them. So the same way we did open and click is the same way we're going to do active on site. So what someone has done or not done, Klaviyo automatically selects this because it's the first one on the list. But if you don't find it, just click on the person as and find active on site at least once in the last 90 days. So now about 6,000 people have opened an email at least once in the last 90 days, or clicked an email at least once in the last 90 days, or active on site at least once in the last 90 days. But that's not all. You do have to make sure that you're covering the safest conditions possible, because even though you want to go for the highest revenue, like I said, you want to do it at a safe pace. You want to do it in a safe way so that you don't hurt your email deliverability or send reputation overall. So in some cases, some brands kind of use tools that capture emails. So you want to also make sure that you're only sending to people who are currently on your email list or people who have subscribed. Because like I said, we have rules that we have CAN-SPAM rules, and we have other email marketing or promotional related content rules where if people did not give explicit consent to be emailed, you do not want to email them, because in most countries you could be sued for that, right? And when you get sued for that, you could actually get a very, very big fine or something like that. So to avoid that, you want to exclude people who did not give consent to get marketing from you. So you make sure you're not sending any marketing messages to them. So in this case, all our conditions are in place. We want to exclude people who have not giving consent to receive marketing messages. So in this case, that would be and, because you want to take all of this and the other one. So it's either this and this. So that's why you're using and in this particular case. So in this case, it's going to be if somebody is or is not in list, you could do that if you have like a well-defined list, or you could do if someone can or cannot receive email marketing. This usually is the best one because it covers everything from abandoned checkouts to people on your list, right? So you want to add this particular condition that if somebody has opened that email at least once in the last 90 days, or the person has clicked an email at least once in the last 90 days, or the person has been active on site at least once in the last 90 days, now, and that person can receive email marketing. You can go further by tightening this up by saying because that person subscribed. Now you can see how that dropped from about 6,000 to about 3,000, right? In this case, we could have been emailing people who did not give consent to receive marketing messages from us. And if they make a complaint and file a suit, they could actually win or something like that. So to avoid that issue, it's best to always have this set up, right? So once you're done with putting your conditions in place, just click on create segment. And this could be your main send segment, the 90-day engage segment. 90 days is enough for anyone to, 90 days is enough engagement window for you to consider sending to somebody on a consistent basis. If that makes sense.
By doing what you just did right there, by creating that segmentation, you're number one,
Mm-hmm.
you're being compliant, protecting yourself from being sued. Number two,
Exactly.
you are improving your ability, or you're increasing the ability or the chances of people opening the email because it's a highly engaged segmentation. And then by doing
Exactly.
that, you're improving the health of your sending domains, which will help your deliverability in
Mm-hmm.
the future.
Exactly, you got it right. So, by doing this, you are following one of the main email marketing rules, which is CAN-SPAM and GDPR. You're sending emails to people who are giving you explicit consent to receive those emails. By sending to your most engaged segment or to your save engaged segment, you're going to consistently notify or pass a message across to email clients like Gmail, Yahoo, Apple, Hotmail, that like you have like people who are looking forward, because the most important thing is engagement is the biggest metric that signals to email clients that you have high reputation or that you're reputable, right?
Got it.
The more people open your emails, click your emails, or even reply to your emails, it simply shows that there's something about your content or your messaging or your offer that resonates a whole lot with this set of people. And what that does is they prioritize you and they position you in the inbox. If you don't know, the inbox is like a war zone, or like more like an auction where it's more like saying the big let the biggest man win, right? Everyone is
Mm-hmm.
competing for your attention in the inbox, and your reputation is really what stands you out. If you have poor reputation in terms of content, in terms of domain and everything else, you get pushed to the spam box. So nobody gets to see your emails. But if you have wonderful reputation, email clients would see that there's something wonderful about your brand, or there's something good enough about your brand, and they'll keep on positioning you exactly where you need to be. Does that make sense?
God, it makes perfect sense, man. It's a great reminder of how important this stuff is.
90-day engage could be your main send segment. And if your deliverability is pretty much beat up and you want to improve your deliverability, it's always best to start from the lowest engage segments. Most brands start from 14D engage, which is people who have engaged your email in the last 14 days, and they increase that up gradually. You gradually increase that send up to 90-day engage. From time to time, you can always bring this down as well. But the safest engage segment that you can send your emails to from time to time would be a 90-day engage segment. And I just demonstrated how you can actually create that segment.
All right, Dom. So you've made the segmentation. What's next?
Mm-hmm.
How does this impact our performance? Where do we go from here? Give us a lowdown.
I'm going to give you an example right inside of this account, because this is like an example that shows you how effective segmentation can be, and the right conditions in your segmentation can really change the game in terms of how well your emails land in the inbox, at the same time how well your emails are like opened or clicked or even generate revenue. So this particular brand they've been sending emails for the longest time, and to them, they were really using the right segmentation criteria, so segmentation condition. But the metrics really does show that there's something wrong in either the engagement strategy or the content. But what we could see when we took over this account and like run an audit, we saw that their emails were doing about 30% open rate overall. So they were really struggling between 31%. So the first thing we did after running like a Glock up test, we just checked and then changed immediately. We changed the segmentation strategy, and almost immediately we started seeing improvements in the open rate. It jumped from like 31% to about 61%, 59%. And then we gradually increased that send to a point where it was safe. So most people are going to ask me this question: when is it safe to send to my old list? Good.
Mm.
Because usually it's ideal to send to your engaged segment most of the time. But there are
Mm.
times when you could actually send to your old list. And we advise to only do that once or maximum twice a month. The safest spot will be once a month. Then if depending on your sender reputation, you can position that to twice a month. The reason
Mm,
why this is recommended is because you are sending to the same set of people, people who opened, click, and were active on your site in the last, say, X days. There are some people that are going to be on your email list who have not received any email from you in the last, say, 120 days, right? So what happens to this set of people? Do you want to completely ignore them and not send them emails? So for this particular reason, it can be saved, depending on your sender reputation, to send emails to all, to like your full list once a month. And what this does is it pulls more people into the engaged segment. So you can
mm.
send like one email to all, to your full list, and then people who engage with that email get added into the 90-day or the 30-day or the 60-day engaged segment. So automatically you have more people to send emails to overall.
That's really
So
interesting. Okay, can I ask a
yeah,
question really quick?
yeah.
How do I know how healthy I am as far as like according to the providers, the email providers?
Wonderful question. So there are two ways that you can actually know if you have a healthy um, email deliverability or healthy sender reputation. One is inside of the email platform itself. So Klaviyo, OmniSend, Go High Level, Active Campaign, they provide deliverability stats or deliverability. They do a good job at providing you information about how healthy your sender reputation is, right? But if you want to
Hmm.
go up a notch, you could use other tools. You could use third-party tools like block apps, which gives you information around your inbox placement to let you know if you're landing in the spam box more than the inbox, or you're landing in the promotions tab more than the inbox. It also gives you information about your IP reputation, your domain reputation, and if practically you have good authentication in place. So it depends,
Hmm.
right? ESPs or email platforms do a good job at giving you the basic information. Usually they focus on feedback loop over spam report. But if you want to like focus a whole lot more and just go advanced, you can use Clock Apps, Postmaster tools, and every of the other tools to check if you're at a good spot. But for most brands, you really don't really have to do much. The platform itself does give you good information. So, for example, inside of Klaviyo, if you want to know if you have good enough sender reputation in the last 30 days, all you have to do is locate analytics. When you go inside analytics, click on deliverability, and it's going to show you your sender reputation, right?
Mm.
Klaviyo has this benchmark that they use in deciding if you have good deliverability or bad deliverability. So they have, good, they have fair, they have excellent. So depending on your score, that shows that you are, reputable, right? And
Hmm.
they decide what score to assign your account based on your engagement metrics and your negative metrics. So we have benchmarks and metrics like open rates, click rates, bounce rate, which is a negative metrics, unsubscribe rate, which is a negative metric, and spam complaint rate, which is negative metrics. Basically, what you want to do is have high enough open rates higher than the recommended. Klaviyo recommends 33% as a benchmark for good enough deliverability, right? A click rate above 1.20% to be good enough. And you want to keep the negative metric as low as possible. Bounce rate means the number of emails that you sent that bounced. Unsubscribe rate means the number of emails I have sent in the last 30 days that unsubscribed. Then spam means the number of emails that you sent in the last 30 days that mark your emails as spam. So you want to keep all these three down, but you want to keep these two as high as possible, right?
Mm.
Remember I said initially that we just took over this account and they didn't really have the best segmentation strategy. You can see that in the last 30 days, it has grown by 15%, and we are still improving the open rate. But this is how you will know if you're growing, right? If you see a
Hmm.
drop in, or you see a drop or you see growth in the last 30 days, usually what you want to see is like a growth, like a growing that shows you've improved, or like the negative metrics have dropped in the last 30 days. This shows that you're doing something right and you should continue to intensify on that particular thing that you're doing. Does that make sense?
Got it. That makes sense. I have a follow-up question. Earlier you said that once a month or twice a month you can send to
Mm-hmm.
your whole list. What
Yes.
score would you recommend having to send to your whole list? Or
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what would be a score that would help you determine if you should send to your whole list or send once or
Mm-hmm.
twice?
I would say if you have a sender reputation of 80 to 90%, it would be a safe range to send to your old list once a month. That would be a wonderful
Okay.
rate. And you can either use that. That is like what informs you that you are at a good spot. At the same time, while doing that, you want to immediately check your negative metrics. Once these are as low as possible, because any spike in these three could immediately signal to email client that there's something wrong about your email, and drastic changes like that could drop your ability to a very, very dangerous position. So once you're around
Okay.
80 to 90% would be good. And once you have very, very low negative metrics, those would be a good time to send.
All right, Dom, why don't you walk us through the results of us improving segmentation? What has been the
Mhm.
outcome for the account itself?
Yeah, so what most brands don't understand is, like I said, most people are gunning for the highest revenue, but that could impact your deliverability in the long run. So there are a bunch of things that really just determines if you're going to get the most revenue out of your email marketing. One is content strategy, one is strategy overall, and three is segmentation strategy, right? So the moment we improved segmentation strategy for this account, January 1st to February 12th, they were really doing things their own way, trying out what works and hoping that something actually just plays out in the long run. And then compared to February 13th to March 31st, where we actually took over the account, we saw a 164% increase in attributed revenue on the email side, where campaign increased by 43%. Now we are seeing 43% on the campaign side and 57% on the flow side. Note, this was not because of any sale. This was just focused on one big change, the overall change in strategy, which is very, very connected to the change in segmentation strategy. So for most brands, if you see campaigns almost in the same percentage it flows, it's because they're running a sale. When this particular account, we didn't run any sale. It was just one minor tweak that we changed that immediately, resulted in 164% increment in revenue in the last couple of days.
That's awesome, man. That's a significant difference. And it's crazy,
Yeah, it
we
is.
literally just took over this account and we're already seeing
Hmm.
drastic improvements. I'm really excited to see how this is going to improve. You know, 6 months from now, this is going to be insane.
Yeah, I'll be happy to come back here and just let you guys know, hey, remember that account we're talking about a few months ago? This is where we are at right
Yeah.
now. I'll be happy to give you an update in the next 6 months.
Yeah, that'll be a great follow-up video for sure. Okay, well, Dom, anything else you want to share with the audience before you take off here?
Yeah, my ending note would be, as tempting as it would be to send to your old list, don't. You can only do that when you have good enough deliverability and you are at a spot where it's safe to send to your own list. I understand that you're running a brand and you're really gunning for the highest revenue, but play it safe and follow the right marketing strategy when you do this.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I hope this video provided value to you. I hope you learned something. If you are struggling with email marketing, you can book a call with us below. We are happy to do it for you. If you're just somebody that wants
Obviously.
to learn from us, make sure you like the video, subscribe. And Dom, thank you for your time today, man. This was awesome.
Thanks, man. It's always a pleasure. My pleasure always.
All right. Take care, everyone.